Hello and welcome to another watercolour demo. This is just the pencil drawing that I've done at this stage. Very simple watercolour of a bit of a rainforest stream. You can see the rocks there, you can see the trees in the background, and you can see the water flow that we're going to be putting through there. This is on A4 paper, by the way, 300 GSM paper. I'm just going to be wetting the paper now, just with some nice clean water, just so the paint flows. You can just see on the right hand side I've got some Winsor & Newton colours. I'm putting in some very pale light blue. With a slightly thinner brush, I'm going to start painting in some of these rocks. I'm using Payne's Grey for this. I'm also going to be introducing a brown colour as well. Raw umber I'll be introducing soon. There's also variations of shade in rocks, and I'm trying to create some of that now. Just getting some more colour on my brush. And we'll continue painting these rocks. The rocks don't have to be too precise, just so long as you create some variation in shade. It's not just all, the one colour. I suppose rocks can be one graduation of shade, especially perhaps on a beach on a sunny day, but certainly in an area where there's a few trees and a bit of a rainforest, you're bound to see different shading on a rock. I like using this Payne's grey because it gives almost a bluey, very steel or gun blue tone to the grey, and that's really good for rocks. Burnt umber is good to put in with the Payne's grey for these particular rocks here that I'm doing. Try to get that shape of a rock. Take some of that wet area off there with a tissue. Always good to have tissue handy, just in case there's a bit too much watercolour in one area. It's a bit too wet perhaps, and you might need to just bring it back a bit. As I said, this is a very simple, quick, loose watercolour, just of a stream going through a rainforest type area. Painting some of these background rocks using a raw umber colour. I'll also mix it up with some Payne's grey. Some raw umber going on there as well for this rock here on the left hand side. And I'll mix that up with some Payne's grey as well. Just touch those rocks up there. Sorry about the camera shake. I'll be putting a little bit of shade under those rocks. I'm using a card. You can use a store card, credit card, something like that, just to give more of some edges or sharp edges on the rock there. It's a good trick. There we go, just to get those edges in there on the rocks, some edges there. Careful not to overdo it. Oh, that looks okay. Now I'm just scraping up here to give the impression of some tree trunks, just the base of some tree trunks, because we're putting some trees in there soon, so I just wanted that slight impression there. Another rock, perhaps. Yep. Another one over here. We'll come back and fix that last rock up that I did. Here we go. To touch those rocks up there. Bit more water there. Some colour. This is a very, very light wash of yellow ochre, just going in the background. Sort of adds a little bit of light and shade in the background there. I'll also be putting some very light yellow in the background. Here we go. Careful just to leave it nice and light. Of course, watercolour dries a lot lighter compared to when you first put it on. to add some atmosphere at the back, in the background. A little bit more yellow now, just along where the water meets the earth or the ground. A bit more, a little bit more. It's a very light yellow. I don't want the yellow to overwhelm the painting at all. So now with a very light wash of this Payne's grey, I am just giving the impression of the flow of water. It's a very light wash. I'll probably have to go over this again, because as I say, watercolour dries a lot lighter compared to when you first put it on. So just be aware of that when you're doing your painting. Remember, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. We all learn by our mistakes. I make plenty. Just get some more colour there and just swish it through with the brush. It's a little difficult to work out the flow of water to make it look natural, because in a painting, if you're not careful, a flow of water can look forced with a painting. So if you can try and work out where you think the flow of water should go, if you were standing there looking at a scene in real life. Or you could go off a photograph and just look for yourself where that flow of water is going. So the water's flowing around, bending around these rocks here in a few different directions, but obviously still all flowing downstream, but taking different routes through the rocks. Just putting some greenery in through here, some background trees. I'm going to have to darken that up a little bit in places, so I'll just get some more colour. This is just a bush green. Different shade of green here. I'll be darkening up that first bush that I did. I'll just put some different colour greenery through the background here. It's more of a vibrant green, this one. Just darkening that first bush up. It's always good to have variation in dark and light, also shade. Using this lovely Art Spectrum Australian Bush Green. That'll be my next colour. I'll just put that on right now. As you can see, it's a really lovely colour, the Australian Bush Green. It's a very natural colour. It's by Art Spectrum. A little bit more background definition in here, just at the base where the water is, coming out from those rocks there in the background, coming around the rocks. That's better. Bit of tissue to bring it back a bit. So I'll just get some more colour on my brush. Don't want too much colour on the brush, just to fix up here, just down the base of the rocks here a little bit. Just underneath the rocks there. I'll go back and do some more of that. Put it under here, under some other rocks as well. Just get a bit of a flow there from the rock. It's where some of the shadow perhaps of the rock would be. So you can see it's starting to take shape. Some definition here under this piece of ground there in the background. I'll just fix up some of this water just to give it a little bit more definition in the water. I don't want to overdo it with the colour on the brush. I have to be careful about that, especially with the water, so I have to make sure it's not too heavy, but also not so light you can't see it. I'm just going to do these trees now. I'll go back and do a bit more on that water soon. Just putting some branches in through here for the leaves on these trees. Get out the credit card again and just a quick scrape through just to give the impression of some branches through here as well, some white branches. Don't need much. Careful not to overdo it. So you can see behind the trees how light that wash is, and that adds to a diffused background. Just a little bit in through here with the credit card. Could use any sort of store card, credit card, something like that. Even a palette knife if you can find one. I think that'll do for that. Some grasses, things like that, bits and pieces. Very fine brush for this. You can buy a rigger brush, which is a very fine brush, which is ideal for for grasses and painting the rigging on ships and things like that. I'll have to get one day. Just some vegetation, some sort of growth just down here. I'm not being too particular. just up in there. So you notice I've got masking tape around the paper there. I'll be pulling that away, which will give a nice border. So it just looks nice until you're ready to frame it. Just touching up some of those rocks there. This is a very loose watercolour painting. Excuse my arm. Just fix that rock up a bit more. As you go, you're looking around at the painting all the time to see what needs improving, perhaps. Being careful not to overdo it. I'm just putting in some white definition here. Could be a couple of cracks in the rock. Don't want to go overboard on that either. Being very careful on that. Bit more shadowy areas under those rocks there. Just wash that through there. As you can see, I want to leave, you know, a fair bit of white space where that water's flowing. I don't want it to be completely covered. But I just want enough definition to show that there is flowing water going through where the rocks are. Just sweep it through there. Being careful not to be too heavy. I'm just going to get a bigger brush, and I think I'll have a better luck with a bigger brush sweeping that through. Look a bit more natural there. Yeah, that's better. Yep, very good. Just signing my name in here. And I'll peel the paper off. I think I will actually add a little bit more definition under those rocks. And you'll be able to see that on the cover photo of this video. So I'll take this off so you can see the border, and then off camera I'll just fix those rocks up. I'm talking about the definition or the shadow under the rocks, just like I was doing before. Only I'll just put a tiny a little bit more of a colour, a heavier colour, not much, but just a little bit more under those rocks. And you can see that on the cover photo of this video. Before you start the video, it's on the cover photo. But for now, that's it. I'll just get the camera and give you a look at it front on. And I'll be fixing up those rocks, underneath the rocks that is, with a little bit more shadow. And you'll be able to see that on the cover photo. If you just wind it back and start at the beginning, you'll see the photo of it absolutely completed. But that's just about it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe. Click that bell icon. We're just starting these watercolour paintings, really. We've only got a few up, but I want to keep going, so I really need your support. I hope you're having fun just like I am doing this, and we're learning together. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate it.